Hey folks, Duncan here from Digitally Reincarnated Technologies. This is a tutorial for my new asset Pixel Point UV editor, new to the asset store here. And today we're going to demo it on the Elemental Golem by Cinti Studios. This is from the Fantasy Rivals pack. Pixel Point edits the UVs directly on the model. You don't create new materials or textures. This will actually help reduce draw calls, reduce resources when using these models in your game. And it's usable on anything that uses the textures that are just flat colors. So I'll open this really quick to show you what I mean. Just flat colors. We're not using gradients, no PBR or anything, just straight flat colors. So we've got the model here in the scene. We want to select the game object that has the skin mesh renderer or the mesh renderer mesh filter if you're using it on a weapon. And we're going to go down to add component, digitally reincarnated, Pixel Point UV editor. Alright, so it's going to add these other things here. We can just ignore those, it autofills what we need. Down in Pixel Point UV editor here, we've got three options to begin with. We've got configure model, enable UV editing. This will allow us to get straight to the color changes. The next option we have here is duplicate this mesh. Now, the reason we would typically duplicate the mesh first is it's safe to assume you want the original still. If you go straight into editing it, you're going to lose this with Elemental and have it replaced with whatever it is that you're changing to. And the last option is to export this as a new. So typically we would duplicate, we would edit the colors. There's going to be an exit button inside that I'll show you in a moment here for when you're done, and then you would export. And that will take the new mesh and nest it in with these other ones. Let's duplicate this mesh. Just pop up, yes, we're going to duplicate it, telling us that we should export after. And here it is here. I am going to move that, and we're actually going to change this to Lava Elemental Golem, because that's the color choices I'm going with. And we'll hit configure model and enable UV editing. Now you can see when I duplicated it, it turned off the elemental and it's replaced it with this one. So we are now working on that one there. Configure model and enable UV editing. The texture viewer popped up on my other monitor, but I'll move it over here and dock it. Alright, so this is the texture that is applied to this model. Here's the exit button I told you about. I'm going to hit normalize UVs and prepare the model. And this is what we're working with. Super simple layout. So you can see that we have no custom UV parameters set, no custom colors. If I come over to the texture here, I can click on one of these. Now we have it. That's the UV coordinates for where I clicked. That's the color we have. Edit by UV sets. So every color in here has been combined into a UV set appropriately. So all of this green that you see, that's UV set 2. With a color selected, you can click set color. Now it's blue. Revert back always goes back to the original color. So we're going to make this lava golem. So I'm going to click this red. And we're going to change the dark colors between. And then I'm going to go with a lighter orange red. Try this one. Hit that. Alright, I don't really like that way. Hit revert there. I think we're actually going to go that color. Then we'll find a dark red parts in between. That's looking right. Grab a red, green. How's that look? Somewhere in the middle here. It's looking better. The eyes, let's make the eyes contrast a little bit. Yellow now, let's make them a reddish purple. Alright, and then these colors are going to be little bits that are in there. see this part of the face, darker that one. Yeah, come back there like that. Back and change the eyes, purple, just because. And there you have it. So there would be Golem, easy enough to change. Now, the other option that we have here is edit by clicking on them. So let's say, even like this, some of these would be hard to differentiate if this is what you got as the original. So edit by clicking on the model. You can actually go in and click on each part. See here that the edit is changing. So UV0, UV1, UV2, and same thing. We can go in here. I'll click on that. We'll go back to UV1, click the blue, set custom color. This one will pop up to say, are you sure you want to change it? There's the blue. You can always go back to the UV sets here and do it. All right, so let's say that this is the model that I want. I'm going to click exit here. And my UI just changed for some reason. But we can go to export this model. Now, the first time you hit export, it is going to be a little bit slow here. So it pops up, it tells you it's going to automatically download the Unity FBX package from the package manager and install it. So that actually goes a little bit slow the first time. But we'll leave that sit here for a moment. And when it is done, we will go in and export it. I'll show you the end result here as well as the material replacer. And then we will quickly go to the setting. So what it's installing now is a package directly from Unity. This isn't one of my own packages or anything there. Done. So much so almost done apparently. Let's try this again. Export model. Export model. Here we go. So I'm going to change the name here again. I'm going to call this Lava Mental. Grabbing the source stuff. I like mine as binary. We have no animation, so why bother telling it to do so? And I'm going to export it directly to my assets folder. Excellent. Let's turn this one off with the assets folder. We'll drag the model in, and there's everything turned on. But we are going to go here, turn them all off, and there's our lava elemental. Go in, we turn on the original there, so you can see that you have them both. So you're all good to go there. Turn that off, turn this one back on, and back here. All right, so I'm going to re-hit configure model on UV editing, normalize, and then I'm just going to go in so that I can show you the settings here. So if we go down to settings and configuration, we have a few options here. First one is model developer settings and configuration. Currently only the Cinti settings are turned on. I do have Polytope and Infinity PBRs low poly programmed in, but I ran into a little bit of a hiccup with the way they do masks, so I currently have them disabled. But if we turn on the Cinti settings, you now have the predefined for the Cinti modular fantasy assets custom shader. So with this, if we load up the texture and shader from there, these will automatically pick out the UV coordinates that the shader uses. I don't currently have the asset installed in this project, but I will actually be doing a tutorial where I convert some of their older models into using that shader. And it works just the same as doing the other thing. So if I click skin, it's changing to that coordinate. If I change hair, it changes to that coordinate based on the other texture. Let's turn that one off. Next, this is for the secondary viewer. So we'll turn that on in a moment here. What I'll do is I'm going to go and get another texture. I'm actually going to go and grab polytopes for this. Textures. And back up. So down here we have secondary texture. I'll grab theirs here. And we'll hit open secondary texture window. So we actually have a second window here. And just had to pause it to move my thing around here. So we have the secondary one here. So on this one, we choose the colors by left clicking. If you have the secondary window open, you can actually middle mouse click to do the same thing. Now, what we do here is if we hit show the UV sets, these are actually the red dots that line up with each of these. So there's one down here a little bit hidden. If you hold the shift key, you can see which ones they are. You can actually click on them to switch between. The switch doesn't show here, but if we go into here, show it here. There's UV4, UV0, you can change in here. So it's easy enough to switch to them that way if you choose to use them. Now, the main reason that we would use the secondary viewer, for example, is let's say we were trying to put this golem on the Cinti modular fantasy shader. We would load this one into secondary, modular fantasy over here. And then you can actually compare them. Like you could say, oh, this blue is UV1. Let's make that. I can see that it uses a whole bunch of them. Let's make that leather primary, metal primary, whatnot like that. So it's actually there just more so that you can reference both without having to swap them back and forth in a single. Alrighty. And that would be about it for the settings. Oh, I apologize. No, it's not. Just a window. Okay. So this by default is set to 512 by 512. But if you have a big enough screen and you want it bigger, you can set it bigger. So there's 768 by 768. Going bigger than that, 1024 by 1024. And it can double in size from there. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to lose my whole entire screen if I do. I won't be able to get changed back, but it's in there as just an option in case you want it. Going down to help and support. Basic thing about me, my Discord, open the asset store with my affiliate link. Now the reason I put this in here is I do my best to keep my stuff cheap. If you buy stuff with my affiliate link, I'm getting a small cut out of Unity's pocket, not out of the asset developer's pocket. That helps pay for things as well. And then official links to the Cinti Studios and Polytope Discord server. I'll be adding Affinity PBRs as well. And any known issues will be in here. So at the moment there is known issue. So if this was docked and you hit exit without actually clearing things properly, that's what made my UI change. The other one is if you click off and onto another model and then come back again, sometimes these colors show up as black. You can still change them, but these don't update. So those are the two things I'm working on fixing for version 2. Version 2 will also have improved APIs so that if you want to do this stuff via other scripts, you can tap into it. I have a developer who wants to see if he can get this running at runtime for character creation as well. And we're also going to add in triangle selection editing. So say you wanted to just do like 3 triangles right here and change them black, not a problem. We have it working, one small bug in it. That's why I didn't make it into version 1. Just got to do a rewrite on it. But that's what can be expected in version 2. So I'd like to thank you very much for checking out the tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed the asset.